Greetings, gamers! Welcome to part number 6 of my playthrough Pokemon Colosseum All Shadow Pokemon Run. And in today's episode, I have a lot to do. So you can actually avoid this trainer right here. All you have to do is hug the wall, and you can go to the elevator. But the only unfortunate thing about that is I don't have a key item for the elevator right yet. You need a elevator key. So, yeah, every single time you enter this building, she will fight you if you cross her path. So this is very useful information to know. You can skip this fight every time you want. I'm going to go ahead and fight her the first time, but I'm not intending on fighting her afterwards. Too bad for you, this elevator is off limits. Chaser Kai would like to battle. And she has a Fanphy and Trapinch. So Trapinch, like I said before, is kind of a doozy of a Pokemon because this mon has 100 base attack in a first form out of a 3-stage Pokemon line. It's interesting that in second form, I think that's reduced to 80 and then it goes back to 100 in third form. Very strange, very strange. But, you know, that's just how Game Freak decided to make this Pokemon, I suppose. I actually really love the Trapinch line. I love Vibrava. I love Flygon. Flygon is an amazing Pokemon. I actually think the only thing that's a problem with Flygon is the missed opportunity of making that a pseudo-legendary and or giving that Pokemon a Mega Evolution. But, again, not something I can change, so gotta live with it. Odor Sleuth, I don't think that's going to do much of anything for you, Fanphy, especially because you are going to be defeated right now, should be by, oh, not even by the Confusion, huh? That's the problem, though. Even though it's a good special attack, attacking Pokemon in Espeon, Confusion isn't a good attack. It's only a 50 base power move. So it's only 70 base power with same type attack bonus. Player defeated Chaser Kai. This didn't happen. Yes, it did. You were defeated. No matter what, this elevator is off limits. At least until I get the key. What do you think you're doing here? Rollerboy Pike would like to battle. I am trying to investigate some very shady happenings. Talo and Hoot Hoot. One is a good flying type, early game flying type, and the other one's a bad one. Oh, there's a shadow Pokemon. Yes, there's 2 of them. I think this might be where you originally catch... Yeah, this is where you catch Hoot Hoot. Yeah. Unfortunately, even when I'm playing this game normally, I never use this Pokemon. Oh, no, you catch a Noctowl in Dual Square. You do not catch a Hoot Hoot in this game. What I really do think is odd, though, about Pokemon Colosseum and XD is that they tried to give you Pokemon from Gen 1 and 2 that did not make the cut into Game Boy Advance. And what I really kind of hate about that is that they double up on some Pokemon. Like, for instance, in XD, you do absolutely catch a Hoot Hoot, even though you catch a Noctowl in this game. What's the point of that? Like, honestly, what's the point of that? Put in different and new Pokemon. Something exciting. Put in some Gen 3 Pokemon, you know? There's barely any Gen 3 Pokemon that you catch in any of these games. Player defeated Rollerboy Pike. Too strong for me. Yes, I am. Mightily too strong for you. I'm no match. I must level up some more. I like that little breaking of the fourth wall there. This is your heal station, and the only one in all of this building. I'm about to enter a massive dungeon. Alright, so nothing over here. Vending machine is out of order. Isn't that unfortunate? Would be cool if that was an actual working vending machine that sold you stuff like fresh waters. Would be actually really cool. Even if all it did was sell you fresh water. Foo, 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 foo. My Pokemon are looking for the chance to go wild. Booyah! Bandana Guy Geets would like to battle. Barboach and Larvitar. Ah, another Pokemon that I was seriously considering catching at this point in the game for my team. The reason why I'm not going to is because in my original playthrough of Pokemon Colosseum, I did absolutely pick up the Tyranitar that you get towards the end of this game and used him for the post-game. And I feel like my team should be at least somewhat different from the team that I used beforehand. Unfortunately for Larvitar, he is not a Dark type, so my Psychic type move will absolutely work on him. It's a good idea to take him out as soon as possible as well, which is why I decided to double down on him, because Barboach is literally a non-threat. This is one of the things that is so bad about having a defensive Pokemon, or a defensive-minded wall-like Pokemon, as one of your two Pokemon that you have in a double battle, is because if your opponent is even remotely intelligent, you can just double down on the offensive Pokemon. And there's ways to get around this, of course, with stuff like Follow Me and Protect and so on and so forth, but it's not that common in this entry. I'm going to go ahead and hit Return on Carvanha. And even if it was kind of common, the opponents don't really do this. So there is that. Now for you, it's perfectly fine for you to have a wall of a Pokemon, because, well, the enemy team is not really going to care. Just going to attack you with some kind of level of randomness. Of course, they do use moves that are effective. There is that. So you do have to be mindful of that. Confusion should be perfectly fine on Barboach to finish you off. Carvanha is absolutely a Dark type. And fainted you go. Alright, Umbreon is about to be level up to 33, which is going to be pretty darn cool. Should happen right here, because Carvanha should give a reasonable amount of experience points. Yes. Level 33. And player defeated Bandana Guy Geets. I want to go wilder. My Pokemon don't look like they've gone wild enough, but I'll let you off with just this time. This dungeon is quite the doozy, so definitely want to be mindful of going back down and healing up as often as you can. Though, healing items are very good for this, especially because how I'm playing the game right now, which, again, is a little bit of a modification from where you would normally play. Even if you were buying Pokeballs, I really think you could spend a lot of money on some decent healing items to keep yourself from having to constantly go down and heal up between every single fight in this area. The stronger your Pokemon are, your party Pokemon, the leads of Umbreon and Espeon, the better this is also. Because then you don't have to worry about going back in between each fight. But I'm probably going to have to go back multiple times. Abnormality detected. Target lock on. Hunter Gear would like to battle. Remoraid and Magnemite. What's crazy about this is he has a level 33 Remoraid. You do absolutely catch a Remoraid in this, but it's a level 20 for some unknown reason. Now, neither of them are Pokemon I would catch, ever. They're just not very useful in my humble opinion, so, there is that. Man. He resists both of these moves. I think I'm gonna have to switch out. Let's go Quilava. And let's go Espeon with Confusion on Remoraid. Since Quilava's in Hyper Mode, and I don't want to call Quilava because of just the DPS of Shadow Rush plus the almost guaranteed critical hits. I think it's just for the best to continuously use Shadow Rush. If you use moves that are not Shadow Rush as a hyper-moded Pokemon, that's when the chances to your Pokemon to not do anything, that's when those become a thing. But as you can see, I have Shadow Rush, Smokescreen, Dig, and then he's going to have another move. I'm not sure what this is. I think he does get Flame Wheel, so it might be one of those. And Confusion. Not very effective, but it doesn't particularly matter. I should, as long as I'm not hit. Yeah. 50-50 chance to hit yourself in Confusion. Wow, a critical hit. That's the second critical hit that somebody has gotten on my Quilava recently while he's in Hyper Mode. I wonder if there is some modifier to that also. Like the Pokemon who aren't in Shadow or Hyper Mode have an increased critical hit chance on you as well. I doubt that that's the case, honestly. I think it's just more or less a coincidence. But, you know. Interesting thought. Player defeated Hunter Gear. Emergency. Mayday. Mayday. Abnormality detected in friendly Pokemon. On to the next fight. Let's see what's in here. My beloved Pokemon, see? Fresh prey. Bandana Guy, Loba would like to battle. Wingull and Wooper. Not great Pokemon, honestly. I actually don't mind either, especially their evolved forms. I used to not like either, but Water Ground and Water Flying are very good types. Water combined with pretty much anything is a good type, even Water Rock. The problem is that Water Rock is typically not taken as it should be. It's not supposed to be a defensive type, it's offensive. Water Rock is an offensively strong powerhouse of a type, being super effective with stab versus both ground and flying is pretty darn good. Alright, a critical hit. Nice. That was likely not going to KO without it being a critical hit, so thank you, Umbreon. I appreciate it. One less turn. Grand scheme of things. Player defeated Bandana Guy. Loba. Ayah, my beloved Pokemon. As you can see, I'm getting stacks and stacks of good old cash. Ooh, my beloved Pokemon are all beat up. Well, luckily for you, there's a heal center downstairs. 5 Great Balls. That would be a fantastic boon if it wasn't for the fact that I'm using a different kind of ball, and I plan on selling all those. So I guess it's still a boon. You're like bug Pokemon, drawn to a candle. I'm going with these Pokemon. Bodybuilder Ekman would like to battle. Electrike and Voltorb. This makes me wish I already had a ground-oriented team. Ground types are amazing in Colosseum and XD, and the reason why that is because Earthquake is amazing in Colosseum and XD. If you can have a flying ground or like levitating Pokemon with ground types, such as Flygon, such as Gligar, so on and so forth, you have some pretty significantly good offensive and defensive options in this game, in that matter. Now, you can't get Gligar, but there are several levitators you can get, including one that is a ground type, and having Earthquake on said Pokemon is just a really good idea. I'm very partial to the ground type in Colosseum, and it just has to do with the fact that having Earthquake is just so darn powerful. Having Protect Earthquake strategies are very good. Using things like Surf, using things like Muddy Water, Heat Wave, These are all fantastic moves. I actually don't think there is a single Pokemon that you can normally obtain that has Heat Wave in this game. This wasn't good enough. This is a dilemma. But either way, I just thoroughly enjoy that strategy. No glory for the fallen. I'm crushed. Yep, you are crushed indeed. Come and get some. We're gunning our engines. All right, Ryder Raleen. I would like to battle as well. Let's see what you got. Doduo and Lediba. Doduo is another normal flying type that at first glance seems kind of bad, but then when you look at Dodrio's statistics, you kind of have to take that back. For a flying normal type, especially, I wouldn't necessarily say early game. You almost never get a Doduo early game. But for more relatively early game, I think that Doduo and Dodrio are awesome Pokemon. Very awesome. Far and away better than like Pidgeot or Fearow or anything like that. In fact, Tailo is only better in my humble opinion because of the combination of both Guts and Facade from Gen 3 onwards being such an amazing, absolutely amazing way to use a normal type Pokemon, especially a flying normal type Pokemon. Alright, so Supersonic from Lediba, why do you have to hit? Why do they keep having to hit with a non-volatile status condition that I cannot do anything about? Oh well. Confusion. Swablu is still not down for the count. Swablu does absolutely have a great deal of special and physical defense. Tackle. Yeah, Lediba is a non-threat. Even Ledion is a non-threat, which is why I'm ignoring said Pokemon and just attacking the other. Bite on you, return on you. And also Lediba and Ledion have a deceptively large amount of special defense, so you want to attack them with physical attacks. I would say the only exception to that would be, you know, using something like a Thunderbolt swinging his way, because that's super effective, especially from stab. Both of my Pokemon are confused. Crazy how this fight is going. Bite, return. Alright, Espeon was actually capable of using his move there, which is very good. Thank you. Snapped out a Confusion Umbreon. Thank you. Swablu will now fall. Swablu is another interesting type. I love the fact that he's normal flying and then turns into a dragon flying. I think that's very cool. I like how there's a lot of this like changing of types in Gen 3. This happens a lot in Gen 3, especially, you know, the poster child of it with Nincada to Ninjask and Shedinja, three totally different type combinations. Bug Ground, Bug Flying, and Bug Ghost. I just wish that Shedinja had a bit better statistics. A lot of people would say, well, he'd be broken if that was the case. I think you could realistically make it so that his base stat total was 300, between 270 and 300. In fact, I'd just say downright 300. Make his defense, his special defense, and HP 1, literal ones, and as long as he's not too fast, he would never be overbearing. And if his ability actually worked, such that only super effective types could hit you, it would be pretty darn great, because that means stuff like Toxic wouldn't work, Will-O-Wisp wouldn't work, Confuse Ray, that would actually still work, because Ghost is super effective against Ghost, but stuff like Swagger wouldn't work. That stuff should not work. It's like Wonder Guard, hello? And it's only supposed to be for attacks, I get it, because later on they ended up giving Magic Guard a thing, making Magic Guard a thing, and that's like non-offensive moves that you're basically immune to. But the issue is that, like, he still has 1 HP. Ryder Raleen was defeated. dropped in the dirt. Yes, you were absolutely dropped in the dirt. I only lost because I don't have a shadow Pokemon this time. Well, that's pretty interesting. At least she answered that question. My Pokemon are solid troopers. Check them out. Hunter Tura would like to battle. Sent out Spiel and Snorunt. Terrible Pokemon. I've never cared about Walrein or Glalie. Glalie is the weirdest, absolutely weirdest evolution to a Pokemon I've ever seen in my entire life. There is absolutely no connection whatsoever between Snorunt and Glalie, except for maybe the argument that could be made that Snorunt is like an Eskimo and Glalie is an igloo, but Glalie is this hovering cat-looking thing with spiked ears. Doesn't really look like an igloo. It's so funny because you can actually see Snorunt shivering. Why would an Ice-type Pokemon ever be shivering? All right. I don't think you're ever going to do that much damage, even with Stab on that kind of a move. And you're gone. Oh, what did you survive on? 1 HP? Well, Bite is going to take you out, but that's pretty impressive right there. Espeon keeps barely not one-shotting. It's a bit of a sad case. Luckily, not too much longer from now, and he's going to have Psybeam. How'd this happen? Well, you had a poor team comp, that's how. So admit it, my Pokemon are decent, huh? Even though they can't win. I mean, if you like them, you like them. Shelves are lined with apparently difficult books. And 1 revive. Very nice. Save you a trip back to the heal station. My Pokemon can dance with elegance even in a dump like this. Hunter Toti would like to battle. Horsey and Oddish. This is a little bit of a better team comp, but we're also talking about level 30 Pokemon that should have been evolved 10,000 years ago. So I think you're probably going to fail this one as well, especially because I'm super effective against one of them. At least I think. Is Oddish always grass poison, or does it obtain grass poison upon first evolution? About to find that out. Unfortunately, and this is going to, yeah, always grass poison. I don't know the most about Gen 1 and Gen 2. Because I started in the Pokemon series in Gen 3. It's actually an interesting story behind that. Some might not necessarily think it's an interesting story, but when I was very young, because of my incredibly bad vision, being legally blind, as I am, having over 10 times worse vision than the average person, I had struggles playing any kind of video games, period. Especially handheld games. So what I would do is I would watch my brother and my dad play video games, and my brothers all had Gen 1 and Gen 2 Pokemon. I didn't have Pokemon until Gen 3, and it was because that's when I finally asked for it. My parents knew that, so they got me Gen 1. I ended up giving it away to one of my siblings because I just couldn't play it. And then I finally re-asked for it because with Gen 3, with the SP particularly, you finally had a backlit screen, and it made it infinitely easier to read and see what was going on in games. Imagine that. Most gamers today don't have any clue about this, but handhelds especially didn't have backlit screens at some time. Wild. Player defeated Hunter Toti. Dancing alone doesn't win any battles. That's correct, lady. And you're dancing alone on thin ice. The end is always so cruelly pitiless. Oh, whoa. Now what compels someone like you to come here just for the sake of getting thrashed by me? Bodybuilder LD would like to battle, and yeah. I'm pretty sure we've seen the bodybuilder females in this game before, but oh man. Let me tell you, if there was a trainer I could just delete out of this game, a trainer class, it would be the female bodybuilders. They look so absolutely abysmal. There is abysmal, like proportion-wise, just everything. Alright, Psychic coming your way. Well, Confusion, Psychic type move, and it didn't even knock out Tentacool, though. Tentacool has a lot of special defense, so I guess it's to be understood. Acid. I believe this is a double battle move, in the sense that it hits both Pokemon. Very terrible regardless. If it's not 20 base power, it's 40, it's one of the two. And that gets reduced by 25% in a double battle, because it doesn't hit everything on the field, it only hits both enemy teammates. That's the thing, is that's the reason why Earthquake is so absolutely busted, is because Earthquake hits everything, including your teammate, which means it gets no damage reduction. And having a 100 base power off the bat just makes it incredibly powerful regardless anyway. And Bite to take you out. Goodbye, Cacnea. And victory is mine. Goodbye, LD. You turned the tables on me. Yes, I did turn the tables on you. Yes, I most certainly did. Grr, done in. But how? What blind spot did you exploit? I think I actually need to go and heal. Okay, now that my Pokemon party is fully healed, I'm ready to move onward. Darling, aren't you one of Duking's people? What made you think that you could simply waltz in here, such a silly boy? Where's Mirabee? I'm taking him down. Take him down? After the beating you took? That's too funny. You wait. I'm going to drive all of you out of this town. Ooh, such a feisty boy. Don't tell me we have to take your Pokemon hostage to make you settle down, like we did with Duking. What? Oh, we seem to be getting a lot of unexpected company today, but that's no excuse for being a bad host. I would be hostess, lady. Mirabee Peon Wreath would like to battle. Remoraid, level 20, and Spinarak. This is where you catch the Remoraid. That is an abysmal only level 20. I'm not sure why this is the case, honestly. If I was to hazard a guess, this is a mistake on the developer's part. So this is actually an extremely hard battle. If I'm not mistaken, you go directly to the next fight after this. So what that means is that you have to fight a team of, I want to say it's like 6 or 7 or so at this point in the game. So if you're not healed up, you might want to get healed up, especially due to the Pokemon that you can catch in the other player or the other enemy's party happens to be insanely strong for this time, and it's insanely hard to catch for this time as well. Alright, Bite. That should be a clean KO for Remoraid, level 20 and all. And just double down on Love Disc, one of the worst Pokemon in existence. In fact, the only thing good contribution-wise I think this Pokemon has ever given to anybody in any game is the fact that it usually has heart scales on it. Wonder if that's the case in this game too. If like this Love Disc had a heart scale. Wouldn't matter. You can't. There's no move relearner in Pokemon Colosseum, so. Player defeated Mirabee Peon Wreath. How did that happen? Unbelievable. My Pokemon couldn't muster a thing. You're no ordinary trainer. Were you hired by Duking as his bodyguards? Let me warn you, if you mess with us, you'd better be prepared for the consequences. Mirabee Peon Firma would like to battle. And she's basically like the boss of this first part of this dungeon, because the dungeon's basically complete after her. There's a second dungeon that happens immediately afterwards, so some people consider it all just one dungeon, but I like thinking it's a breakup because of the story implications here. And this Mantine happens to be the Pokemon that you can catch from her. Incredibly, insanely, absolutely powerful. Man, I kind of actually want to double down on Apom, because the last time I didn't, I had some serious issues. I think I'm just going to Reflect and Confuse Ray. Shadow Rush. And hopefully this Confuse Ray is a very effective tool at this current time. Mantine, perfect. Get confused. So I actually love Mantine. I love Mantine's design. I love that Mantine is a counterpart Pokemon. A lot of people don't know this, have absolutely no clue about this, but Mantine is literally the special attacker, special defender variant of Skarmory. Bite. Confusion. They have exactly opposite stats. They both have a 490 or 495 base stat total. It's one of the two. And then alongside that base stat total, which is very similar, they both have opposite defenses. Like one has 140 defense, which is Skarmory. One has 140 special defense, which is Mantine. So on and so forth. All their stats are equal and opposite. Very, very cool. I love the idea, the concept of having both a Mantine and a Skarmory on your team, but in all the games that they would be relevant to be played in or played with in vanilla, you cannot possibly get both, at least until much later in the series. And the reason why that is because, for instance, in Gold and Silver and Crystal, I think it's just Gold and Silver. In Heart Gold and Soul Silver, they're version exclusives. Secret Power, Confusion. Espeon is probably going down here. Which is whatever. Defense Curl on Furret. Secret Power. If this were to paralyze, that would be pretty darn awesome. 30%. Yes, yes. So can I expect a full paralysis or a confusion hit? Yes, very nice. Mantine is such a rough enemy, especially if you're trying to catch Mantine. Just best you get rid of him as soon as possible. And because the other Pokemon that on Firma's team are actually pretty heavy hitters, reasonably speaking, at this point in the game, it's just better to do what I'm doing, which is confuse and paralysis towards him and then just deal with the others. Yanma's not that big of a deal, but he could also do things like Supersonic, and you really don't want to be confused in this fight either. This isn't going to do a whole lot. Kind of did a little bit. It's not bad. Mantine is still confused and is fully paralyzed. Very nice. So with that said, I can actually just go ahead and focus on Yanma, and then immediately after Yanma is fainted, which is right now, the rest is history. Mantine is going to be readily defeated pretty darn quickly. Alright, Bite. This could have a 30% chance to flinch, so I have a 50% chance this Pokemon is going to be confused, 30% chance to flinch, snapped out of confusion, so that doesn't really matter. And then what is it, like a 25% chance that you don't move when you're fully paralyzed? If it wasn't for the fact that he snapped out of confusion, he would have had like a 90+% chance to not move at all. Quilava should be faster, so this should still be kind of an easy fight. Potentially. Bite, Shadow Rush. Critical hit. And critical hit. Goodbye, Mantine. Level 35 already. Player defeated Mirror B Peon Firma.
What just happened? Unbelievable, too. Wreath, let's make ourselves scarce for the time being. Right, Firmo. Ultra Super Fire Dash.
Ow. Thank you, you saved me. Do you people know duking? Yes.
Okay, I'm a fool. I didn't know what was happening at all. They'd taken Duking's Pokemon hostage. How could they do something so downright dirty? That's why we're here. We came to rescue Plusle. I'm going too. Ow, 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 ow. Not in your condition. You'll have to wait here.
We meet again, kiddies.
Mirror B, you cowardly cheat.
Cowardly cheat? That's so not true. Taking a hostage is perfectly fine as a bargaining tactic.
You call that a tactic? Plusle had better be okay.
Oh, the darling couldn't be any safer if it tried. I'm sure it will come to adore me before too much longer.
You've got to be kidding. Where is it? Give it back.
No running or hiding from me. Come to the cave. That's where I'll be. I'll be waiting for you, my pretties. All right. Ein file. S is written on the cover. Shadow Pokemon is a Pokemon that has been made into a fighting machine by artificially shutting the door to his heart. What we didn't know is that the Shadow Pokemon exude a dark aura that can't normally be seen by the eye of a man. Unfortunately, a girl with the ability to see this dark aura has been discovered. This is a major problem. The girl could become a huge obstacle for our Shadow Pokemon plan. A solution to this threat is urgently needed. Shadow Pokemon Lab Chief Ein, signing off. And I have to also sign off. I want to thank you for joining me. If you like my content, please upvote and follow, or like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below, and while you're at it, have a great and glorious day gaming.